Dorice Horenstein. Welcome to the Bookaholic Podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I can't wait to present you to the audience today because we're going to be talking about joy, and mental fitness. So, yay. So, and the times, we're in some challenging times, no matter how you look at it, whether you're looking at local, national, international, whether you're looking at money, relationships, the way people have relationships with other ethnic groups or female, male, whatever way context you want to look at things, we're living in some challenging times. And so, with that, there's two things that we must focus on, in which you're an expert on, and that is of the mental fitness and of joy. So, today we're going to talk to you about, first of all, I want to know how you became a mental fitness expert. Tell us about your background.
Okay. So, hello, everybody, and that is listening right now and taking that time, special time to be with us. I feel blessed by your presence in the podcast. And thank you, Deidre, for inviting me to speak. I know you have so many people that probably knocking on your door. So I feel extremely blessed to be here.
Yeah.
My journey started a long time ago. I immigrated from Israel to the United States at the age of 21. I came with $600 and no coat to the West Coast in the month of December, to Portland, Oregon in particular. Quite chilly. and,
Yes.
and I knew one person in the entire United States, one human. And I didn't realize it then, but as my life progressed, I realized the courage that it takes to move and to start something new. And sometimes when you're young, you're just saying, I'm going to just do it. A lot of the time when you get older, there's all these things that hold you back. And so as a young person, I came here and I made the United States my home. And I got right into education.
Okay.
And yeah, that was for 30 years, I was in the education field.
Oh,
Yeah. And I thought that would be my entire career. And in
mhm.
2018, I left that world to become an entrepreneur, a speaker, workshop leader, trainer. And the reason I did that was
Yeah.
because a few years back, my sister, my youngest sister, who is 10 years younger than me, and at that time she was 38 years old, and she was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. And or was it stage 4? It was an advanced breast cancer that was very invasive. And she had to go through all these treatments, a lot of treatments. And so I was 10,000 miles away from her. And I thought, okay, what am I going to do? And the positive human that I am in my core, I decided to do these Saturday night videos that are uplifting videos with wisdom, with nuggets of wisdom that takes her out of the misery that she was feeling at the moment
Mhm.
into maybe a land of more positivity. And
Right.
so I did that for a whole year. And that became an impetus of my first book, Moments of the Heart. So for that book to see the light of day, I felt that it was incumbent upon me to actually leave my job in the education and that's the book, and make my mission is to bring that positivity to everybody, not only to my sister, not only to cancer patients and
Right.
survivors, but to people who just struggle, people who just need a little bit of an injection of positivity, and looking at the cup not only half full, but
Right.
knowing how to fill the half empty with positivity. I think that's a really key thing, because a lot of people say, oh, I'm positive because I'm looking at the cup half full. That is not necessarily being positive. That's being looking at the realistic, oh yeah, I half of it is full. Being really positive is actually seeing what is the opportunities that are ahead of us. And that is, how do I fill the cup that is not yet full? How do I continue. And that's
Right.
where the joy comes. That's where let's
Okay.
overflowing with joy. And so that's what was the beginning. And then I did it in 2019. And then, of course, we all know what happened in 2020. And I needed to pivot. I needed to pivot. And that's when mental fitness came into my
Yes.
sphere in the form of positive intelligence. And
Yes.
I
Yes.
became, I took the course, and then I decided that I wanted to continue with the course and actually become a certified coach. And I was gifted the opportunity to do just that. And I became coach number 45 in the world with positive intelligence. And since then, I've taken that methodology because in my book, in my first book, it was all about living in the positive realm,
Hmm.
which comes and says, okay, live in the positive realms, but your brain and neuroscience have a lot to do with how you then carry yourself and show yourself and behave. So I
Okay.
felt that it was such a nice matching of both of those things together. And my introduction to positive intelligence. So I told you the whole story in
Yes.
4 minutes about how I
Yes.
became that positive intelligence expert. That is
Well,
exactly
let's break this down for the audience. So everybody always knows about IQ, the intelligence quotient. Okay, it's supposed to be really smart. Then there's EQ that we don't hear enough about, emotional quotient. And now you're introducing us to positivity
positive,
intelligence.
yeah, to positive
So,
intelligence. Positive intelligence is a science based on four sciences: positive psychology, cognitive psychology, performance science, and neuroscience. And
okay.
together it creates positive intelligence. Now, EQ, emotional intelligence, is your awareness of what triggers you and how you show up in the world. Okay. What triggers you. Now, positive intelligence is one layer above because it gives you
Oh,
the
it's one layer
neuroscience.
above.
Absolutely. It gives you the tools and the techniques so that your emotional intelligence can sustain itself higher. So, an example, you can go to a workshop and let's say they're talking about improving your empathy because
Right.
maybe you are lacking in that empathy. And they give
Okay.
you exercises. So, when you are getting upset, think about the positive that this person has done, or think of what's a loving thing you can do, or measure your tone of your voice. So you're not coming as judgmental, but more of a discernment. Okay, so they give you these tools, and then you go home and you practice those tools, and you say this. However, when you don't connect it to the neuroscience of your brain, because most of the time when we're not empathetic, that means we're more leaning into the left side of our brains. So neuroscience comes and says, you have to shift to the right side of your brain, to the prefrontal cortex of your brain, to where curiosity and empathy live. You can't
Mhm.
access empathy from the wrong side of your brain. That's where positive intelligence comes in. And we are teaching people a certain kind of connecting to your body,
Okay.
pausing, breathing, having all of our senses really alerted, like touch, smell, sight. And that brings you to the level of greater awareness. So then, because you can go to work and you can be nice to somebody because you say, oh my God, I just went to this course and they told me to be empathetic. But it's treated on the deep down level, on the root level. And the
Right.
root level has to do with your saboteurs. It has to
Right.
do with your sage. And we have a test that you can take, that anyone can take, that it's free test, that you can measure your saboteur level. Because that's where, in the root level of all things, is your saboteur's interference with the best version of you. Yeah. So that's how positive intelligence not only complement EQ, but gives you the tools and the techniques. I call it like the secret sauce, right? You
Right.
gotta know how to not only have awareness about you, but intercepting your saboteurs and
Right.
leaning into the strengths, leaning into what makes you the best that you can be. A lot of the time, we operate not from our best. So
Right.
that awareness and that taking the time, and we always say 15 minutes a day spread out of connecting to yourself in a way, what other people call meditation, we call PQ, which is positive
Mhm.
intelligent quotient, and you get clarity. You get a
Right.
little bit more clarity when you are saying, okay, what is stopping in my way? What is the fear that I'm hiding behind or that is hiding behind my behavior? And with the thought, and then it goes sometimes on a loop, feeling and thought, and it nurtures each other. And then at a certain point, it becomes a behavior. So we go out there and we show who we are out there. Using
Uh-huh.
positive intelligence is intercepting that place in our brain. So our thoughts not run our feelings,
Right.
rather we run our feelings and our emotions. And
Right.
an average person, Deidre, has 6,000, and that's a study for 2024,
Mhm.
6,000 thoughts a day.
Oh my
Eight-
gosh.
80% of our thoughts are negative, based on fear, based of unknown, based of what could go wrong, based of I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, this person is going to ruin it, my book is not going to launch. All these fears are
Oh my gosh.
in our heads. 80%. We need
Oh my
to,
gosh.
yeah, it reminds me, Deidre, Brene Brown said that she was asking a question in one of her teachings, and she says, are we humanity? Are we a thinking machine that sometimes feel, or are we a feeling machine that sometimes think?
Wow.
I thought it
Wow.
was brilliant, and it lines up with what I'm
Yes.
doing all the time. We are a feeling machine that sometimes think. We are.
Yes. Yes.
And so that has been my passion, is combining the positive intelligence
Yes.
and the positivity, and that became the foundation of my second book.
I love the title, Oi to Joy, Emptying Catalyst. Oi to Joy. So that's a play on Yiddish, since you are a Jewish American citizen, so the Oi, and
Right.
then to Joy, and then also the song Ode to Joy. That so I love it. I love it. So
Thank you.
tell us a little bit about Oi to Joy.
Thank you. We all have challenges in life, right? We
Oh,
all have.
absolutely.
Show me one person that says, "Oh, I have nothing, no challenges." It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
Gosh,
And if
it does
somebody
not
tells you,
exist. It
you know,
does not exist.
not a good, and if they say, I remember one time I was married 6 months, and there's another couple that also was married about the same time as we were, and they said, "Oh, we never argue. We never argue. We never argue. It's just not the way we do things." And I said, "Just wait and see." 2 years later, we were talking, and she's like, "Oh, we just don't argue." And I looked at her and I said, "It depends how you define it. Everybody argues to some extent." And then
Yes.
lo and behold, this person about 10 years later came knocking on my door saying, "Doris, I think I'm going to divorce my husband." I said, "Why? You never fight. You never argue. How's that?" And she says, "Maybe that's because of that. We shove everything under the rug." Sometimes you need to have a hard conversation in an
Most
argument.
definitely.
And you've been married for a while. I've been married for a while. I know that it exists. So,
Yeah.
oi is when things are not good. Okay.
Okay.
When an argument, things doesn't go well. It's an oi.
Right.
It is our choice. It is a human being choice to not lean and feed on the oi, but rather feed on the joy and have that
Yeah.
positivity and looking at something and says, how and what do I choose to take from this situation, from this interaction, from this conversation, from anything that was giving me that joy? And
Right.
for me, living in joy fills my heart with
Yes.
the desire, with the energy, with the positivity of what
Yeah.
tomorrow holds, even if I don't know what tomorrow holds.
Right.
It gives me that hope, because I don't think that I could be as hopeful of a person if I didn't have that yearning for joy and joyful living.
Mhm.
What would I hope for if I have no joy and no, what would I hope for? So to me,
Well,
that is a huge part of who I am.
exactly. And so I was going to say that you are an effervescent. If there's a time to use the word effervescent, it is with describing you. You
Oh,
are a very effervescent, joyful person. You know how when you pop the lid to a soda can and it goes, shh, that's huge. Okay. And so I say, though, that we all know there's people that are the direct opposite of you, people who are mired in narcissism. Okay. So let's take a look at this from the oi to joy from this standpoint. Again, on an international scale, we've got different types of world leaders. We've got some world leaders that possibly are more joyful and looking out for the best interest of their citizens. We've got some bully leaders. And then you take it to your own home. As you were saying about your friend who was never arguing, but now divorced, you've got different couple relationships. You got different work relationships. There's people, say, like you, that look at more joy and look towards that more positive feeling and are passionate about life. But then you've got your direct opposite people. So, what do the folks who are effervescent, full of hope, full of positivity, how do we deal with those folks that don't show their best nature? Because those are also the people that need to be coached by you. Those folks never say, "Oh, I'm the problem." So the first thing is, how do we deal with these type of unjoyful people? And then how do we get these unjoyful people to the table to read your book, to listen to you speak? How do we do that?
wow. Wow. Okay. I don't know how long you have, but we can spend a whole day.
Not a whole day. I don't have a whole day.
You're thinking about it for a whole day.
So busy.
So, number one, let's not, I think one of the key is let's not be blind to what's out there.
Right.
That's the first thing. A lot of the time, people confuse joyfulness with you are like overly optimistic, you are blind to what's in front of you. Yes.
Naive, possibly.
Naive. Yes, naive. You're naive. So, the one thing people know, if those who know me, they know that, first of all, my people have been suffering a lot lately, October 7 and all. So naive will not be how I will define me or people that have been in my situation.
Right.
Yet, yet we have a choice. Now, I also believe that the stronger I am in who I am, there's two things that can happen. Let's say I'm coming and I'm meeting somebody who is not joyful,
Right.
somebody who is, I call them sabotaged. They're not their best
Yes.
self. Because honestly, nobody chooses to be a miserable human being. Nobody chooses to be a bag of misery. They don't,
Right.
but it is it is what they think is their automatic behavior without sometimes even realizing that's how they show up. So when you come into a meeting, when I come, I'm going to teach you what I do. I have two options. Number one, I said to myself, Doris, you be strong in your positive energy, in your, what I call it, the PQ channel. You
Right.
be strong in that positive intelligence quotient. I come to a meeting. If somebody there is lower on the Richter scale of energy and positivity and joyfulness,
Mhm.
things can happen. One, they could bring me down.
Yeah.
You've been into a meeting when somebody is like so down, it brings the entire group down, right? It's like
Correct.
people are hiding. Okay. This could happen. Or I can bring that person from, let's say he was at -3, I can bring him to maybe 2. Not 10, but I can bring him to 2. That
Right.
depends on me, not
Right.
on them, not on them, on me. So if I'm
Right.
strong in who I am and I'm holding on to that positivity and I don't let somebody else drag me down, worst case scenario is they stay where they are and I stay where I am.
Right.
Best case scenario is where I can elevate them a little bit because I'm still strong. So I'm
Right.
elevating a little bit. I'm showing them a little bit more. And how
Right.
do I do that? Number one, I'm actually visualizing. I have a visual image when I go to a meeting, and I don't do it as much anymore because I'm really hanging around and being an entrepreneur. I surround myself with people who are open and wanting to grow and develop. So I don't hang around with a lot of bag of miseries. But sometimes I may have one or two coming into my sphere wanting to book me to someplace, but they're having sabotage situation. I because I'm strong in because I decide, because I choose to be strong in my PQ, in my joy, in my essence, I let myself think that I am like wrapped up in oil. There's oil all over me. And if
Mhm,
somebody is dripping negativity, think of
mhm.
it as water of negativity, what happens? It
It repels.
it repels. That's
Right.
exactly what
Mhm,
I am envisioning. I
mhm,
try not to let them affect
mhm.
me. And I always
Right.
say, it's not about me. When they
Right.
are being negative, it's not about me. And I think every reader, every listener should be doing this. When somebody comes to you with so much negative energy, it's not about you. It's not.
Right.
It's about their journey. So
Right.
that is really important. And the more I speak, the more I know people who are less joyful than me, they see the benefits. So I'm going to give you an example. I spoke in January at the summit, and I was talking about joy. My topic was be a champion of joy. Okay. And I went through all my steps, and it was like a fun thing. And anyway, afterwards, this woman who is a CEO of a company, and she says, I had the most epiphanic moment of my life. And I said to her, tell me. And she says, I'm an older mom. I have a 4-year-old child, and the child is very energetic, and I'm not. I
Yeah.
am, I'm more down. And my energy compared to my kid, 4-year-old is like at 11, I'm like a 2. And
Yeah.
so often I try to corral that energy and bring her down and like sometimes even punish her, 4-year-old, punish her to
Yeah.
just be more like me. Like
Oh,
she says, when I saw you on the stage, suddenly I saw my daughter, when she gets older, do what you are doing. And I saw that joy and I thought to myself, how am I daring to stop my child for being their best self?
w
When she told me this, and she says, you've changed the way I'm going to parent from this point on.
wow.
I swear I had goosebumps when she talked. Then a week
Wow.
later, she sent me an email about what she did when she returned home after the conference. And she came to her daughter, and her daughter greeted her, and they start jumping around the house, like greeting. And she says, I jumped in a way that I've never jumped before, screaming to my top of my lungs to match her. And she says, and you know what happened? She actually became more quieter because I let her be her, and then she was okay.
And then she was okay. Oh
And
my gosh.
it was unbelievable.
That
And so, yeah. And I said
that's
to her,
worth
may I
it.
share? I asked her, said, may I share your story? And she says, absolutely. You can even put my name, but I don't do that. Just the story, I think, is paramount. Now, why? This woman was open. And when she saw me, she saw her, the person she loves that she doesn't understand. And now,
Right.
wow.
That story alone is worth what you're doing. You know that you're in
Yes.
the right lane, the right space, you're doing something for the world just based on that one story.
Thank you, my dear. That's how I feel. I
Mhm.
feel that my mission in life was always to educate and inspire and bring the best out of people. So for the
Yes.
first 30 years of my life, I did it in an educational setting. I ran a school
Right.
for the last 16 years of that. And
Right.
then I decided that really the world is my classroom.
Ye
And how does that then show itself? By me speaking on stages, by me going to people who would not necessarily enter my building for my education, but me
right.
entering their world. And
Right.
that's really is the drive that behind everything I do. The second book that I wrote about choosing to be your own champion is that combination of how do I choose the choices that I make? How can a person make choices that would yield them the results, the ROI that they want, the
Right.
return on investment? And then I
Right.
take choices that maybe sometimes for some people simple, but it's not so simple because to
Right.
do it consistently over time, even choose kindness, choose
Right.
choose to educate, choose to be a leader, choose
Yeah.
to be positive, choose to love. All of these choices that we do every day, we have the
Yes.
opportunity. And with
Yes.
each every choice, we give another ray of light into the world. That's how I look
Exactly.
at it. When you make wonderful choices that elevate you, guess what? It elevates the universe.
Right.
The universe, not only you. It elevates
Right.
me from far away because that energy comes
Right.
through.
It reverberates. Now, you say that choosing to be a life champion, what sets it apart is that it's a 6-step playbook that
Yes.
guides readers through intentional choices that align with their deepest values and personal strengths. Now, so again, there's always people that turn to self help books. I have a sibling who I've heard say, "Oh, I'm not gonna read that person's self-help book. I don't want them to tell me what to do."
Yes.
Yeah. So how in the world do we get this book in those folks' hands?
It could be, don't look at it as self help. Look at it as a story of someone that went through many choices and what does it resonate? What resonates within you about this? Look at
Right.
the book from teaching you the science of your own brain about how to
Yeah.
shift your mind because you may not want a self development book yet. You have had challenges, you had always, you had
Right.
struggles in your own life. So maybe by reading what I have with the a workbook that is attached to that book. So when people get my book, they also get a workbook
Right.
do you do to make your life better? Whatever that is, you don't look at it as self help, look at it as your own development.
Right.
You do not
Right.
want to develop, then hey, then I'm out of that. There's, as we can say, we can bring a horse to water, we can't make them drink.
Exactly, exactly. When is your wonderful book going to come out? When will we be able to see
So
choosing,
my My pre-launch is happening May 22nd in a physical
Okay.
space, but it will be live stream and on Facebook, but also live stream. And I will, those who are in my orbit, which means if you sign up for being an ambassador, the ambassador list, which I have emailed you, which I hope you can put it in the notes of this, is
Okay.
those people who are going to sign up, they're going to know what's the link, how do you choose, how do you join. If they so happen to live in the Portland metropolitan area, they can physically come. And then,
Okay.
yeah, and then the book in Amazon and all social platforms will be on October 17. And yeah, so we'll have a time from May where they can purchase it from me with a personalized copy from me
Okay.
on website. And if they want to wait and purchase it on Amazon or Barnes Noble, they could do a pre-order.
Okay.
And when they apply to when they sign up for the ambassador, they're going to get a gift. They're going to get several gifts. One of them is the ebook right when it's
Okay.
out. Yeah, the ebook is going to be ready to go and for them prior to October 17. And they're going to actually get a card game with the
I
idea
see
of
it.
shifting. Yes,
I
yes,
have it here.
yes,
The
yes.
6 steps playbook to making the right choice for you.
Yes. Yes. So I'm going to send that to, and by making the right choice for you, it's really to become your best self. Because the best choice for you is how you show up in the most
Right.
amazing, beautiful way. And so
Right.
they will receive this gift as well. And maybe we will do a webinar, some kind of a virtual pre launch where everybody can, once they have my book, they order it, they have my book in their hands, and we
Yes.
could do a book talk and a Q&A. And there's, but only this will be able to happen only if they sign up for an ambassador so they'll
Right.
know what's going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Doris, what we're going to do is we're going to have your contact information in the podcast show notes and in the video's description box below. And we wish you all the success in the world. And I'll tap back into you later on this year, and perhaps we can do another collab as your book comes out. So I am so grateful that you exist, Miss Effervescent. And we need more joy. People need to know more who they are and how they can tap into it. And I thank you for being the person that's leading us there. Thank you so much for appearing on my show today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Love to everybody.
Yes, thanks.